Hello, welcome to Virtual Mr. Fisher. We're going to fill out this learning card. I want to tell you a little bit about something called a midpoint, given that B up here is the midpoint of segment AC, not the line, but the segment from A to C. So from A to C, the midpoint is B. Well, midpoint, just like it sounds, well, if you were at our school, and you want to go to the North Georgia Premium Outlets, and if we said that the midpoint is the Pink Panther on Georgia 400 and the entire distance is 9 miles, then we can say that from the school to the Pink Panther is 4.5. Now, that was a little bit fictional. I made that up. It's pretty close to that. But anyway, so a midpoint is literally what it sounds like. It's the point that's in the middle of a certain segment, all right? So if B is the midpoint of AC, then we can say that segment AB and BC are congruent. That's what that symbol means in geometry. The equals with a little squiggly over it is just saying that from A to B is congruent from B to C, or with the segment B to C. Now, one thing I want you to do, I'm going to modify this learning card. I had it already printed out, but I just want you to see what I'm doing. I'm throwing this little block. I want you to just kind of scratch out that 4x plus 12 up there. It was not part of my original thought process. And then I want you to put a 31 over here. So given the information that B is the midpoint, then we can set up an equation that says, oh, A to B is equal to B to C. So we would write an expression that looks like this. Negative 5x plus 1 is equal to 31. So write that down, and then let's just solve. And maybe the problem says solve for x. Maybe it find the length of the segment A to B, but that's kind of silly. We could just say it's 31 because it's the same as B to C. But anyway, let's say it says solve for x. So we would, hopefully, you would subtract 1 from both sides. Draw your line. We've got 30 left on that one side, got negative 5x, and we would divide by negative 5, and that leaves us with negative 6. All right. And let's go on to some other, I don't want to call it random information, but somebody decided it was going to be on a test. So I want to put it on here. When two planes intersect, they form, well, here's the picture of the two planes. And I don't mean airplanes, I mean geometrical planes, but when they intersect, they create a line. They form a line. So have that already typed out. Form the line. All right. So put that on the line. And then we've got, going over to the right here, we've got this angle STU. Well, turns out that given the TV, wait a minute, that is that a segment, a ray, or a line? Well, in this case, I'm going to put this symbol over it. So that's a ray. That's a ray, and it intersects what? Angle STU. So here's our angle STU. It's getting bisected. Well, bisect is a geometric term for cutting something in half. So it's kind of like a midpoint, but an angle doesn't have a midpoint. It has a bisector line. All right, well, then if that's true, then, didn't have this written on here. This will be a trick. So I'm doing this with the mouse. Then, angle STV is congruent. Wow, that was supposed to be a squiggly, with angle VTU. All right, hopefully you did that job, right? And I did. So then that's true. And then we can go over here. I want you to write in 6x minus 12 and 3x plus 24 into those two different angles that are being bisected by that ray TV. And let's see how we can then solve. So if that were the case, then we can solve it. We can set those equal to each other because that's what a bisector does. It cuts things in equal parts or halves. And then we can begin to solve. And you guys have gotten used to this, of course. I'm going to do plus 12 to both sides. Draw my line. I've got 6x equals 3x plus 36. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. No surprise to most of you. And now I've got 3x equals 36, and now I'm going to divide by 3, so I end up with x equals 12. All right, and then the last thing down here is I want to say if, well, look at this diagram down here for a second. We've got this line T, labeled T, and it's cutting through this X, Y, and Z, or this XZ. And we say if line T bisects what? XZ. Well, I'm going to put a line, array, or a segment over it. Well, look at the diagram for a second. It's got endpoints, so I'm going with segment. If line T bisects that, again, cuts it in half, it's creating a midpoint Y. What's the value of X? Well, we can set up an equation again, and we can put the two parts equal to each other. So 2x plus 5 is equal to 4x minus 15. I'm going to subtract 2x, so I'm left with 5 equals 2x minus 15. I'm going to add 15. Now I have 20 equals 2x. I'm going to divide by 2, and so I've got x equals 10. If they asked me to find the length of the segment, I would then take that 10 and I would plug it into either one of these. Whoop, that one looks like the easiest one, has no negatives. I'll plug it into there and I get 2 times 10, 20 plus 5, or I could plug it into here, just depends if they're asking for the segment length, and that would be 40 minus 15 is also 25. And you can see how that is the correct value of x to show that those two segments are equal from this bisector. All right, I think that covers it. Make sure you got that written down and submit that. You can move on to your next assignment. Thank you.